I want to talk. Hi, everybody. I want to talk about my third book from Godeena Codex. I don't have the cover yet because I just start writing. It's continuation of the story of the first book. It's military action, uh, thriller in some case. In this book, you can expect same like first two, and this work in progress. Name is of the book is Hunting the Shadow. And I want to read you my first chapter. I write third chapter now. This part of book is not fully editing, so you can expect some mistakes, grammar mistakes. I'm sorry for that. And I hope if you like what I'm doing with my reading, to tell me what you think about my story, what you think about, did you like chapters what I read? Tell me what you think about my book. Did you like the story in the beginning of the story? What you think about my writing? Everything what you want to say, I'd be appreciate if you say me. Is it okay or is it not okay? What can I do to correct my writing? So, thank you. I now to read last chapter from third book. First chapter begins Planet Elidria. Stephen Carbon sat at the back of the shuttle, observing the people in the crowded passenger compartment. Travelers were mostly working families with the children returning for vacation, and most of them were watching into the hollow goggles. One little blonde girl was jumping on the seat, holding on the backrest. When little girl noticed him, she stuck out her tongue, quickly sank, and a few seconds later peeked over the edge of the wrist. When she noticed that he wasn't looking at her, she continued, hoping. With a smile, Colbert continued to observe other travelers. Among them were a few big guys who did not fit in the imagine of workers. There were a few other races, two members of the reptilian race from planet Keros, who were hissing at each other with long forked tongues in some kind of argument. And at the front of the shuttle sat the big members of Anskas in her usual black combat armor. Although the warrior looked at Pretty, he knew that she said no dangers to him because he was under protection of their queen. Colburn wondered if it was wise to accept this invitation sent by pirate, but his pride wouldn't let him break a promise. He clenched his fist and flexed his shoulder, asking himself why he had agreed to come to this industrial planet of Elidria. It was true that he had promised to buy a drink for the pilot who had saved his and Lara lives in the Battle of the Mega Quadrant. Why he had been invited to this polluted mining place was unclear to him. Colburn glanced out the windows at the city sign below. The aircraft entirely pursed his lips. Most of these cities of millions were ugly industrial complexes, gray-green in hue, above which floated dull gray haze. From thousands chimney crawled belching steam, and who knew what else from the black vents. The dim light of the science city looked no better to him than industrial plants. Thousands of buildings in dull colors stretched out into the distance. Small oases of greenery were only sporadically found in the few places illuminated by blue red light. Around the tall trees floated night mist which created a veil around the canopy. The sight of megapolis stirred a dose of nervousness in him. He didn't like our crowded city. He lowered his chin and glanced at the passenger once more. Then he sighed, took a flat communicator out of his pocket, and placed it in his palms. Activated the holographic message that he had received 2 days ago. Green's letter flickered above his palms. Sergeant Corbin, I have some important information that may be interest you. I saved your life in the Battle of Mega Quadrant, and you promised to buy me a drink at a time. I'm referring that statement of yours. The information I wish to share with you is vital. I hope you will accept my offer. In 2 days, I will be on the planet Elidra, the Salamander Bar at 14 Velvet Street. I look forward to meeting you. P.S. Bring your weapon. Well, civilian cause, the part of the city you need to go is not welcome to anyone in uniform. Barbarossa. Coleman turned out message and pocketed the com. He leaned back in the ergonomic seats and closed his eyes. What the hell have I gotten myself into? I have never heard of anyone named Barbarossa, but here I am, going to this meeting. I'm going to have evaluate my decision in the future. Then my haste language, but alas, it seems appropriate at the time. It would be inappropriate to turn down someone who saved your lives. On the front of the shuttle pale a light 3D screen with the battle face of the uniformed pilot. We'll be landing on the main runway in 5 minutes. Please fasten your belt strains. And the screen fades. Carmen buckled his belt and looked out our oval windows toward the large illuminated airport in the distance. To his surprise, the runway and surrounding buildings were ablaze with light against the rest of the lap down, standing out like beacon in the green areas that surrounded it. The shuttle shook slightly as it landed, and the passengers stood up from the seats, put away the virtual reality headset, and immediately began to remove their silk-covered lined suitcase from the overhead bins. Corbin was in no hurry and wait until all the travelers had exited the aircraft. He stood up slowly and adjusted the leather magnetic shoulder strap with the gamma gun under his left arm. Then he pressed the magnetic edge of his black short jacket and the zipper clicked. Corbin grabbed a small backpack from the overhead bin and headed between the 2 rows of white and gray seats toward the exit with smiling steward in the tight blue suits. Most of the passengers were already at the exit of the terminal, and custom officers checked the last 2 of them. Sergeant slowly walked to the near counter. A scowling officer in a blue uniform activated a high-resolution scanner. The small metallic gray orb levitated above the counter until Corbin approached. Then it opened, and with a bright flash scanned his retina. When the orb descended below the counter, the officer briefly checked the information and turned his attention to him. He asked in formal tone, "What is the purpose of your visit?" "To your beautiful planet." The officer looked at his data again, ignoring the cynicism in his voice. "I see you're carrying personal weapons." He focused his gaze on him. "This is an industrial town, and it is not common to use you permits to carry a weapon." Cornwall leaned his big palms on the edge of the counter and looked straight in the green-gray, hazy eyes. "Is there any problem with that?" The officer stepped back, frowned, and replied, "Your documents are good. I wish you a pleasant stay on our planet." The sergeant shot him with a sharp look, then without a word headed toward the entrance of the upper building. As he passed through the dark sliding doors, his face was illuminated by a colorful neon hologram of hundreds of stores in the building's archway. There are not many people there, and he walked confidently toward the exit. Only few people caught his attention, but they walked toward the countless stores which attracted him like flies with discount of various products. On the parking lot in front of the entrance, a holographic display of taxi service beacon floated on the several underground red taxis. Colburn headed toward the first one. From his skin eyes got out when he noticed it. Welcome to the Science City. Do you need a ride? Colburn nodded. The taxi driver quickly opened the back door and asked, Is that all your gear? He squeezed the backpack strap. Yes, that is all. Great. Where do I need you to go? The Salamander Bar of Velvet Street. The taxi driver turned pale and closed the cab doors. We don't drive in that area. I'm sorry. Colburn watched him as he turned around and walked toward the driver's seat. I'm ready to give you a double tip for your efforts. The taxi driver stopped in front of a half-open door and looked at him briefly with a grim expression. Then he gestured to the other taxi drivers. No one of us will take you there. Is this place that dangerous? If you value your life, I wouldn't recommend going to that neighborhood. Colburn shrugged. I promised someone I would come to the bar. Does anyone else drive to the part of town? The taxi driver looked over his shoulder in the direction of the large numeric sign, I Taxi Service Autos. At the opposite end of the parking where the three blue anti-ground cars were parked. Only the Cybermen drive there. Ever since a couple of our colleagues were killed, we don't go that part town anymore. Then he entered in the taxi and slammed the door. Coleman strode toward the taxi at the far end of the parking lot, once again questioning his decision to go that part of town. As he approached the first vehicle, the back door opened and a melodious female voice came from the interior of the taxi. Do you need a ride? He leaned forward and peered into the dark inside. Are you driving to the Salamander Bar on Velvet Street? The black-haired girl smiled. We drive, but the price is double the normal fare, and you have to pay in advance. That suits me, Colonel said and sat in the back seat. The door closed silently, and a small panel on the back of the front seat light up. A brief flash illuminated his retina. Then girl spoke to him again. Place your palm on the panel to confirm the transaction. After the panel scanned the palm, the girl turned her head with a natural jerk and activated the drive. Please fasten your seatbelt. The taxi shot like a bolt of lightning toward the main exit and pulled on the highway. We'll be at your destination in 30 minutes. Would you like to listen to music while we drive, or do you want to have informal chat? I am programmed to talk about any topic that interests you. Colvin closed his eyes and leaned back in his seat. Not that he was interested in talking to a robot, but he needed information. I don't need the music. What can you tell me about the neighborhoods you're taking me to? It is one of the most notorious districts in the city, and it is controlled by three syndicate houses. Murders are daily occurring there due to their internal feuds. The police don't enter this area. The job is to guard the surrounding neighborhoods so crime doesn't spread to the rest of the metropolis. We will have to do checkpoint. Colburn opened his eyes, stared out to heavy traffic. Do you often take passengers to that area? Yes, that all casinos, bottles, illegal drugs can be found in the rest of the city. The authorities tolerate that as long as they don't get out of that zone. Smart from the government. All the garbage in one place. He concluded and focused his gaze out of the windows. After 15 minutes, the soft taxi driver's voice brought him out his task. We will be at police checkpoint soon. The three lanes of the road narrowed and one in front of the checkpoint. The street was blocked by black 3-meter-high plates on its walls. On its top were two armored plasma cannons with massive turrets. The taxi stopped in front of the huge metal armored door. Next to the door was a reinforced and concrete square box which emerged of policemen in combat armor. He kept his hand on the weapon at his belt and approached the open windows. with modulate metallic voicing commands. Sir, without sudden move, so I don't have to use her force. The policeman helmet quickly scanned his eyes and he soon addresses him. Sergeant, I hope you are aware of what part of town you're going. Yes, we won't be able to help you if anything happens, the officer say. You don't have a warrior. I can take her myself. The officer nodded, saluted briefly, and activated lifting of the metal door. His magnetic motor lifted the massive metal structure and sparked along the edge of the slot with an irritating metallic ring. The officer waved to them. You may pass. He turned and walked toward the corner container. The taxi flew over the scattered garbage, and Colburn looked at this dilapidated building, smoke billowed from rusty gray dumpster creating gray haze that had unease in that part of the town. The image was completed by a few ragged residents who wandered the streets with their heads down. As the taxi flowed through the district, in some places he could see the neatly painted facade of buildings. The large neon casino stood out like an eyesore in the neighborhood. In front of casino, he noticed dozens of well-armed uniformed men who were watching closely at anyone who approached the building. These places were bustling with life, and there are many more people than in other parts of the city. At that moment, the taxi driver announced, "We will arrive at our destination in a few minutes. Please get out of the vehicle as soon as possible because I don't want to stay in this area for long." After she said that, the taxi turned into one of the dark side streets. The place looked 10 times worse than the rest of the city. Garbage and rusty burnt out vehicles filled the roadsides. Many of the buildings were half ruined. Ragged men and people-faced women were warming themselves around the smoking barrels. They watched the taxi with a wild look as it flowed to the street while scattering bits of the plastic paper and dust. I drive stopped in clearing next to the lighted entrance and conception entrance to the bar. We arrived at your destination. Corbin grabbed his backpack, slung it on the shoulder, stepped out in the subway. The sour smell of the smoke irritated his nose, making him frown. The taxi speeded off down the street at full throttle, leaving a cloud of dust behind it and disappearing in the haze. He glanced briefly at the battered front door of the Salamander Bar. The holographic image on a yellow and black lizard above the bar name flickered erratically, and the massive scratched black door had seen better days. Coburn pushed the edge of the door with his palm. It took his pry smoothly open. He entered the dark, empty bar. The interior of the bar contrasted with the exterior. It seemed orderly, and the air was fresh and pleasant. From the bar were several black plastic metal tables surrounded by 4 black chairs. At the very end of the room were 2 small separate booths. Corbin walked over the bar toward the elderly waiter who was leaning against the edge of the counter, watching him closely. He briefly examined his wrinkled face and dirty foxy beneath his left eyes. Beneath it spread pale lines of tiny scars. The waiter asked him in a hoarse voice, "What would you like to drink, sir?" He looked toward the dark end of the bar. "Bring me a bottle of your best dark and 2 glasses." Then he walked over to the booth and sat down in a spot that overlooked the front doors. The waiter slightly approached and sat down on the table, a dark gray bottle with 2 oval glasses. Without words, he walked away toward the bar and began polishing the glass with clean love. Corbin poured the dark brown drink into the glass and took a long, satisfied sip. As he again refilled the glass, 3 men and a woman in Lois gray work uniform walked to the bar door. They sat down on the table near the door, and one of them shouted for the waiter to bring them 4 Goldenbergs. The waiter served them 4 tall glasses and the only cans of beer. They loudly cracked jokes among themselves. What caught Corbin's attention was the neatness of their work clothes. He casually unfastened the magnetic flap of his gun holster under his armpit. When the mechanism silenced, eject the handle of the black gamma, the bar door opened again, and he focused his gaze on a striking female figure in a long red leather sleeveless jacket. A large hood covered her face. On her muscular, elegant bronze-colored arms, he noticed black intervening tattoos that snaked down to her black fingers' gloves. As she approached the bar, Colby noticed a Singtile leather outfit and massive boots with shiny silver buckle under her jacket. His eyes narrowed as he noticed two large black holsters behind her wild belt, from which protruded the handles of silver plasma fusers. The woman nonchalantly rested her fingers on the edge of the bar and leaned toward the waiters. After a short conversation, she moved away from the bar and with the speed of a cybernetic pulled out the elegant silver fusee and turned into the foregost. In the next moment, yellow-green flame flashed and thunderous blast of shooting echoed through the bar. As Colin pulled his gun out of its holster, he noticed the waiter pulling out Bonnie's short-fist plasma fryer from under the bar. Four guests were butchered before they could react. The woman, for a few seconds, stared at dead bodies through the sight of her pistol, then waved to the waiters. With a fist in his hand from whose gun barrels were still smoking, he made his way to the exit and pressed the small panel next to the front door. A massive armored metal platter crashing down in front of the door, sending up the cloud of the smoke. The woman in red holstered her fuser and walked over to four dead bodies at the table. After a brief search, she pulled out four short plasma gauzes and placed them on the table. Then she threw back her hood and turned to the culprit who was watching her through the scope of his gamma. A smile broke out of her oval bronze face. Black lipstick on her full lips illuminated dim light. I see you haven't lost your age, Sergeant. Connor watched her face, which was crisscrossed with a small scars. He tried to recall where he knew the woman from, and then his memory flashed. Instead, still watching her through the gun's side. Anna Batstone. Anna's red jacket fluttered as he approached him, her bright green eyes flashing wildly. She stood by the table, picked up the bottle, and took a long sip. After setting the bottle down on the table, she stared in the blue eyes. Yes, I'm the player who saved your ass. In the bottle, in the mega quadrant. Sergeant Corbin put the gun back in the holster and during his sharp gaze. I don't forget the face of my cadets. I'm sure you hate me for not making an officer. Anna threw back her head loudly, ran her fingers through her short black hair, then looked at him. I hear you thank you for kicking me out of the army. I didn't tolerate authority back then, and I don't tolerate it now. Why did you become a pirate? He asked. Hannah pursed her lips. I had not used my knowledge somewhere. I even thought I didn't want the pirate at that time. I started out driving transport ship and smuggling contraband. Corbin watched her with a green face, spark flashing in his eyes. I know you think it was drugs. I never deal with that. You wouldn't believe how many ordinary things there are to trade. Sometimes flour, sugar, and coffee are worth a fortune on certain planets. I'm sure of that. But how did you become a pirate? You didn't answer that, the Sergeant Combs said icily. My ship was attacked by Astarada pirates. I was taken to their leader, but before that I broke several teeth of his deputy, which amused him, who told me that some people weren't happy with that, what I was doing, and that they didn't like a lone smuggler. He offered me two chests to kill me or to join them. Of course, I took the second option. Sergeant Coleman had accepted the invitation for the merely out of politeness, but he was more interested in what had happened at that bar a few minutes before. I only care about one thing after all this carnage I have witnessed. Why am here and why did you kill those people? She glanced over her shoulder at that, then sat down beside him, peering dark into his and her glass. They came here to kill you. Then she raised her glass, took a sip, and continued. Your head was blackmail, as is the head of all of Henry's group. Sergeant Coleman watched her closely, clenching his fist. Almost as dead. She briefly studied the liquid in the glass, set it down on the table, and with a jerk of her hand, activated the oval screen of her head-income device. The space in front of them flashed, revealing 3D awareness for all entities without fluorescent red credits numbers above their heads. No one knows who is behind it, but the price for your head had risen enormously on the black mercenary net. I'm sure that greed will drive many scum to kill you and your team. Sergeant narrowed his eyes, studying his face and the face of his friend on the wanted list. Why are you helping me? I haven't been very good to you in the past. She exhaled and gently placed her hand on his knee. Her face stiffened even more, highlighting her past scar. I was in the battle for the Omega Quadrant, and I know how close we came to defeat. Later, I discovered from a reliable source that Henry's team was behind that victory. When I saw your face on the wanted list, I had to warn you. Regardless of my past, I respect heroes. I glanced briefly at her hand on his knee and she moved away. No one knows about our team. How did they know about our existence? And eyes flashed. I don't know. You have a grudge against someone powerful. She flicked the screen off, placed her palms on Teddy, stood up, and glanced briefly at the dead hitman and cranked his neck. By inviting you here for drink, I have put target on my loyal friends. She observed him over the shoulder. I would like to know if Henry will accept my small group into the team, because 10 of my people after my action will end up on wanted list too. Surgeon Corp sipped the rest of the ring and focused his gaze on her. The information you gave me and the fact that you saved my life for the second time will be enough to assure for Henry to accept you into our group. There are many lunatics on our team anyway. A satisfied smile appeared on her face. I'm sure that these are not only hired hitmen and that the rest of their team will try to kill us at any cost. He strode quickly toward the bathroom and ordered Connor pick up their weapons and activate the security protocol. Anna pressed her palm against the edge of the wall next to the bar. Activate the hidden cells and open a secret section. Then she looked at the surgical room. It is time to get lost. This place will soon become hellish blaze. It will be tricky to escape this planet unnoticed, but for me and my team, it will now be a room. And that is everything for now. So, if you like the story, whatever, I'd be happy if you buy my first book. And thank you if you listen my reading. And bye.